All right, welcome back for the episode of This Week in Charts via Carnival Trades and Wall Street for Main Street. If not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on carnivaltrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it this week. So markets here having basically a euphoric move to the upside. So we did get essentially a Fed pivot on Wednesday. We had the Wednesday FOMC. And, Jerome Powell came out pretty dovish. They did confirm 3 rate cuts are now projected for 2024. And the market is actually, believe it or not, is actually pricing in 6 on the Fed funds futures. Now, we'll take that with a grain of salt. They were pricing in cuts in May for September of this year, and that did not happen. So I think the market's a little ahead of itself. Also, traders are euphoric right now. I promise you, if we have 6 rate cuts next year, the market and the economy will not be in good shape. But nonetheless, here in the short term, markets do like this. As you can see here, we had that big, powerful move on Wednesday. There was lots of talk of hedge funds that got blown up, or not blown up specifically, but there was some margin calling. I think the banks knew about what the Fed was doing ahead of time. That's why we ran up into it. I thought that was a little suspicious. Hedge funds did not get the memo and they got blown out. So they were the recipients of a pretty good squeeze there on that end. We are pulling back in a little bit. Today, spiders did pay a dividend, so it's down 15 basis points, but it's basically flat if you look at the SPX there. But in any case here, markets are, in euphoria mode. We talked about this when that CPI move happened in November. So this is the type of move that can create FOMO into the end of the year, and I think we're seeing that right now. Now, markets are a little stretched here. I do think we're overbought, and, we may just kind of chop around until the end of the year, but we are very close to all-time highs, and at this point, it would be very unusual if we didn't go up and test those. So I think that, maybe not right away, but maybe even early in January, that could certainly be a thing. But markets are in euphoria mode. The Dow Jones did actually make new all-time highs for the record. So you can see right there, there's the DJI. And there's a new high there. It is parabolic. Just be aware of that. It's unsustainable. This will come down pretty hard when it does correct. But right now, markets are, again, like I said, in euphoria mode. Me personally, I think that this is going to be an Arthur Burns type moment here for Powell, but I also believe he's under a lot of political pressure as well, and there's a lot of speculation as to that being the reason for him pivoting, because 10 days ago he said that they weren't even thinking about cuts. But in any case, here you can see the market's basically very close to all-time highs. Here's the triple Qs. And, you're about 4 points away. So 408.70 and change there on the triple Qs. Actually, we got to go back a little farther because the NASDAQ topped out in November. There we go. So 408.71 was the previous all-time high. We're very close, right? So, we could hit it next week. I think the Qs could certainly hit it next week. I think for the SPX, it may need to do a little bit of a pullback first before it gets up to the 480 handle or 4,800 handle, which would be all-time high. But in any case, markets are in euphoria mode right here, and like I've been saying all week, don't fight this. They can take it higher. When you get blow off tops, they can go really, really a lot higher than you think. And when the bears make a move, it'll be obvious. There'll be heavy volume, and you'll get a big outside move, and that's how you've got some type of a top in place. But markets are in, they're on a sugar high right now, and we did make new highs this week. Anyway, so levels here, if we were to pull back, 462 area on the spiders, and then 460, that would be kind of like max move, I would say, right now. Maybe even just a test of the 20 moving average, kind of like how we had in June. We had that big thrust, and then we just kind of gracefully pulled back into the 20. I could certainly see a similar setup to that. For the triple Qs here, again, if we pull back, we'll look at 390 right here. So 390, 393, that's kind of where we broke out. We had this little base right there. So that would be the next level of support for the Qs, and obviously resistance would be your double top. Russell 2000, take a look at the IWM here. So you think small caps were heavily shorted? Wow, big pop there on Wednesday. Made some nice money on members with this one too. It actually exceeded my target by about 8 points as we got all the way up to the 200 handle. I do think the Russell's a little overbought here. You can see here This has been a pivot point here since July of 2022. So may need to do some stalling out here, but big thrust there for the Russell. And the most shorted stocks are the things that are rallying right now. The poor growth companies, with no hope of earnings, those types of names are really rallying, and that's obviously bringing up small caps. Another sector that's rallying is regional banks, again, heavily shorted. Anything that's heavily shorted is getting a huge monster bid right now. Today, Russell 2000 backing off, but again, big thrust. And what a remarkable move was at 160 about 6 weeks ago, and just tagged a 200 handle yesterday. Semiconductors here, new all-time high for the SMH, looking a little top heavy in the short term. But again, look at Broadcom. I mean, this is a $500 billion company that is just up, like 15% in the last 7 days alone. And, not to harp on this so it's been beaten to death, but Broadcom, NVIDIA, Broadcom, AMD, these types of companies are coming for NVIDIA's lunch. I think NVIDIA is, going to have trouble growing into this valuation as we get into next year, because you've got companies. I mean, AMD just announced their new AI chip. Broadcom's coming for that business too, and their margins are gonna get compressed a little bit. But speaking of NVIDIA, the chart is fine right now. That does look like it wants to retest 500 at some point. But just a side note, man, that Broadcom really popping there, above $1,100 a share now. All right, IGV here, that did pull back a little bit yesterday. It is green today, and it's impressive that it's green because Microsoft had a kind of rough week compared to the rest of the market. Oracle reported and got slammed, and so did Adobe. So IGV, holding up on the back of other names, Atlassian, CRM doing a lot of work here. CrowdStrike having a big rally, so kind of offsetting some of that earnings nonsense that happened earlier this week here. But IGV holding up okay. I still think it needs like weekly consolidation. You got a big level here, big breakdown level of previous bear flag. There should be some supply sitting in there. But overall, IGV is acting well. You had a nice base here and a big thrust through it. So it may need to stall out, but outside of that, there's no real problems for cloud software. And again, it's been a very strong sector this year. Dow Transport's following through. So we talked about this pattern here, up move and a little bullish inside bar, little test on Wednesday, and then boom, took off, gap and go on Thursday. And we have actually exceeded my target here of 16,000. So now, that was just a near-term target. Next level, we'll just say about 16,250. So we're almost there right now. We could easily get there on Monday. Bigger picture, though, this can go to 17K. So you've got, you can see it right there. There's your inverse head and shoulders. And if we just take that measured move, there you go. It's right up to about, 16,800, 16,900. We'll just round it up to 17. So right up in that area, it would bring you just above double top. Not an all-time high, but close. But transport's, again, acting well. And, another sector that's been beaten up and gotten the beneficiary of a squeeze. Anyways, let's flip over here to rates. So rates came in sharply. Again, not a lot of people were expecting this rally in the market. They're not expecting a Fed pivot. But see, the 2-year here came all the way down to 4.25. I do think this is a major level for the 2-year. And it's funny that Fed President Williams already backed down and said this morning, oh, we're not thinking about cuts. I think the Fed it didn't intend for the market to rally like it did, and they sent Williams out there to walk it back. But you're seeing the 2-year bounce after those comments. But again, a very good level here. I talked about this 4.25. I think that's a very strong level for the 2-year right now. Fives, I could see maybe 3.75 on the downside. That's a major level. The 10-year, right around 3.7. 365. This is a huge level. I know everybody hates rates now, but everybody hated rates. Everybody said it was, we were going down to 2% in the summertime, and we went to 5%, and now we're just pulling back. So I don't think this rate move is over, and I told you earlier, I think this is an Arthur Burns situation. But right now, yields are backing off, and markets like that. So right around 3.6, 3.7 is a monster level for the 10-year. For the 30, 3.75, 3.8. All right. Home builders, you guessed it. Of course, they made a new all-time high. Look at the XHB. This is ridiculous. So, it was at 68. And I told you guys this level, Pierce of 70 would be support. And I didn't think we would go to 95 in 6 weeks. I'll be honest with you on that. But look at this move here, just a power thrust. Where can this go? I honestly don't know. It's at an all-time high. Maybe it could go to 100. So don't fight that powerful trend. It is parabolic. It is way overbought. It will come in very sharply when it's ready. So just be aware of that. But home builders really holding up. And again, here's another heavily shorted sector that we talk about a lot, commercial real estate. Look at the VNQ this week. Big move. It is coming in today. It's coming in off this level. $90 is a little bit of weekly resistance. You see that weekly 200 and 100 moving average right in that area. So it is backing off of that level. That is to be expected. But big power thrust here for VNQ, and that chart is firmed up tremendously. So right now near term, I'll just say 86 and then 84. We'll look for those levels on the downside. It probably needs some consolidation after this big move if it's going to go higher. XLF got through all of my targets. So that's new 52-week highs, not new all-time highs. But 38 should be the next level. So there's your pivot from April of 2022. You can see right there, up move and a pretty good sell. And that was actually, if you go to a weekly, you're going to see we had this big area that we were above for a long time. We broke down, and that's where we retraced to. So that level right around $38 is going to be pretty good resistance. Now it's overbought already, so just be aware of that. If it pulls back, I'll just say 36 and a quarter would be like your big level there for the XLF. Again, KRE, we talked about that. Believe it or not, that can get to 56. It's almost there already. That was your big breakdown. You got the weekly 200 and 100 moving average there above that. KBE, I told you guys 44. It's at 46.50 right now. So look at that, blew right through those moving averages on the weekly time frame. Again, heavily shorted sectors are what's running right now. Broker dealers got to our target. So we talked about 522, and it's at 540 now. So that pattern played out. I've already erased those lines, but that has exceeded target, and broker dealers are acting well. All right, let's flip over to commodities, everybody's favorite. So take a look at this, and I talked about this Arthur Burns thing. Commodities, Bloomberg Commodities Index having its best day of the year, best day since really the October bottom of last year. So big push there. But let's start off with crude oil here. So crude is a little tricky right now. This did hit my level. I am not so sure what it wants to do here in the short term. I could see probably, if it continues to bounce up, it's definitely going to definitely can get to 74, 75. And then if it can have a bigger move, it can get to $80. If this level goes, you may see some sort of like panic, kind of like flash crash in oil. I don't expect it to last very long. That would be a major buying opportunity. So I just want to make that clear. Right now in the short term, though, it's holding up. It held the 68 handle. We've been looking for that for a little while, and we got there. And again, we'll see if it can go to 74, 75. And then if it can get through that, we can go to 80. But right now, it's getting a bounce, and we'll leave it at that. I'm a little bit more neutral on crude oil at the moment. XLE had a really powerful recovery yesterday, which was Thursday, the day after FOMC. It's still, it pulled back a little bit today. Again, I'm not sure what this wants to do here. It did have a really good outside move. Again, a lot of energy stocks are heavily shorted. They got a bid. I would like this in the upper 70s if it can get there, and I think it still can. So again, we'll leave it alone for now. XOP got to that trend line. I don't like that you consolidated, but you know what? The trend line held anyway. So it doesn't mean that it won't hold when it does that. It just makes the odds lower. So just so everybody understands. But it held, and we got a bid. This could still come down. I'm not saying it can't, but I'm going to get rid of this because we don't need that anymore. But, it's holding up, and you got through those moving averages. If it can consolidate this move, it could potentially go higher. OIH, a little disappointed. I really wanted this to get to 280, and it got a really nice bid Wednesday, Thursday. It's holding up inside day today. It could still get there. I could see it happening for sure, and that would still be a buy. So we'll see what OIH does, but nice pop there this week. CCJ, slight new, it looks like we need a slight new 52-week high today, or got very close. I'm still just in the camp that this can go to 50 until proven otherwise. I think this will have a correction in January. I know I've talked about it possibly having corrective moves, and it has not happened at all. I'm not betting against it, but by the way, I think after the year is over with and everybody's done piling into it, then you'll see kind of that buy side liquidity dry up. But right now it's holding up, and I'll just give it the upside bias to 50. Same thing with URNM. We're looking for 52 if it can get there. If not, it's got a lot of daily chart support around 44, and that's really all I've got for it right now. Nat Gas had an interesting week. I think a lot of this is quarterly options X related, which is today. So we had this big flush on Monday and then Tuesday after it was already down substantially. And then Wednesday we popped right back up here and actually printing a pretty good tail candle here on the weekly. So Nat Gas getting all the way down to the 2.25 handle. And you got a nice reversal candle on heavy volume. I think we saw some near-term capitulation Monday, Tuesday. Look at the volume there. It's about 300 million contracts. So that's not baby volume. That's big boy volume. And I think that's the highest since, you got to go back to like 2020 or 2021. And yeah, it was right here. And it was this was on a contract rollover day. So I actually take that with a grain of salt. This was not a contract rollover day. It was just a normal trading day. So maybe we saw a little bit of near-term capitulation there for Natty. Next level, well, just say 262. And then, we'll say about 280 would be kind of your near-term levels. And then if it can really get through that, you can back test 3. So Nat Gas, volatile week, and it is coming off the lows there. All right, let's flip over to the dollar. So dollar index got pounded, as you'd imagine. Now it's basically gotten to my trend line here I've talked about, and you're getting a bounce now. We're gonna have to look at this in a week or two, because this is a long trend line, goes all the way back to 2021. We'll see how this plays out. If this starts to rally up towards 104 and puts in a low, then what I'm likely going to do is I'm just going to say, okay, it hit the trend line, right? But for right now, I'm just connecting it through these lows. And, if it comes down and pierces it, then it's hit the trend line, right? So that's how we'll do it. You just got to let the market tell you, the market will tell us which level it's respecting. And right now it's, the dollar's getting a bounce, right? It's a little beaten up here. And into the 102 handle, and it's getting a bid. If this comes back, and starts to push towards 104, maybe the markets come back to earth here. The market's been ignoring the dollar lately, even though it had a nice rally over the last week or two ahead of the Fed. But we'll see. Eventually, the market will respect it, and we'll get back to some normalcy. All right, gold here. So gold all over the map, but it did have a nice week. Now, you guys, I got some good news here for the precious metals. Not so much gold right now, but the other ones, which we'll talk about in a minute. But anyways, gold here, a big bid on Wednesday. Now, you're kind of coming into 2070 here. This is a monthly trend line. You need to close above that on a monthly to confirm a breakout. I'm not certain if it's going to do that right now. I will say, though, if you do that, then it's likely on breakout. If we take this low out, you're going to 1950. So in the short term, gold holding up. It got a nice bid again. I think if the dollar gets a bid like we talked about, that'll obviously put pressure on PM. So they may need to do some more back-end filling. There's a lot of supply here, a lot of supply in that candle. So don't underestimate it. I think gold needs to do a little weekly consolidation. GDX, I still like this though. Had a nice bid, went up here and made a new, like double top. If this can consolidate, it's telling us something. GOAU, the royalty companies. Nice pattern there. FNV, I don't normally cover specific stocks, but I really like this level on FNV. Look at that monthly 100 moving average, and this looks like a failed breakdown here. It's starting to look like one on FNV. So some of these companies getting pretty attractive here. AG, look at that move off the lows there for AG. 4.5 to 6.5 in a few weeks there. So we're starting to see these miners lead, or starting to lead. When we see them consistently lead, that is a massively good sign. Silver here bounced off of this trend line. Also hit a perfect 618, by the way. Right there, we made some money on that on the FOMC day. Made a nice chunk of change in the trading room. But in any case, silver pulling back here today. I'm not sure what not sure what it wants to do here. Again, a lot of supply in this candle. Let's let it work itself out, and I think it can be bought on a bull pattern. All right, platinum. Here's some good news. This is bottomed, and it can be bought in a bull pattern. It's really that simple. I really wanted it to get to 880. That would have been my dip buy level. Actually 885, and it got within about five points. So it didn't quite get there, but I think it can be bought on any bull pattern. I do like platinum at this level, and a metal I really like. Mark this down, guys. Palladium has put in a major multi-year low. So this is, I've been telling you guys for a month now, you can start accumulating it in here. And I believe this is a multi-year low here on palladium. Inside bar, bearish, failure on volume. Look at the volume here at the lows. It's telling you there's capitulation, there's accumulation in here. Smart money's buying. Look at the monthly. So you can take this low here, the all-time high, 75% fib. Previous all-time high, 200-month moving average. That's a monster level. Outside move on the monthly. So palladium can be bought on pullbacks. You're going to come into this level here around 12. So that was your nearest breakdown. It may need to do some consolidation there, but I like it in that area. So palladium, that's the big one here. I do like this level. All right, copper here. A little bit of a chop fest the last couple of weeks. We're back above this trend line again. We did retest this one for what it's worth. I'm just going to give it the upside bias to 4. That's really the best I've got for you. I don't really have a bias on the pattern. It's kind of neutral. I still think we can go down to the low 3s though at some point, and I think that would be a buying opportunity as well. But copper just in a range here, and we won't make too much out of it right now. All right, Bitcoin here. So a little bit of a weakness here. There was some news Monday about Elizabeth Warren, some bill regulation, something like that. So we had a little bit of a slice, and somebody knew about it beforehand too. If you look on the overnight, somebody just magically sold a bunch of Bitcoin at Sunday night, and then of course the news comes out in the morning. So somebody knew about that in Washington, I'm sure. But in any case, you have a kind of an up move here. And you can make a case this is all bullish consolidation inside of that, but you do have a micro inside of that bear pattern. I'm still going to give it the bull bias because you're above all the moving averages and trend is up. But if you take this low out, then you'll go to 38, let's say 39. And then, if you get through that, you got this level here at 38. And then you can start to do more of a corrective move, and we can talk about levels on the downside. But until that happens, it's still safe right now. I don't see any real issues. ETH is a little bit weaker. It got to my 2,400 price target, so that did hit over the weekend last week. So again, crypto just holding up, but you do have minor kind of bear patterns, maybe a little bit of distribution near the highs. It's had a big run, so you expect a pullback here at some point. But right now, I still think Bitcoin can still get to 48,000, especially if you get that ETF news. All right, lastly, again, just watch the spiders. Next week, I think we can get a little bit more of a pullback, potentially, maybe even into the end of the year. 462, 460 would be kind of your levels, and obviously the 20 moving average. If we take the highs out, which was made yesterday, the next level is probably just the all-time high. I don't really see any other level in between there. Yeah, so 472 is kind of your big area here. Pivot high, breakdown, pivot high. So 472 is the level here for the spiders to get through, and then once they clear that, they can go test the all-time highs, which would be a double top. But near term, if we pull back, look right into this zone right here. Anyways, guys, going to wrap up here. You guys take care. Come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on carnivaltrades.com. I'll talk to you guys all next week.